Okay, so we're back. So like I explained, I was gonna do initiative, like a popular initiative for basic income in Switzerland, and I haven't even found anyone, literally anyone, to just be part of my committee. You need 7 people to do the basic income, um, and you go to parliament and you say like we want to do this, and I haven't found even a single person who wanted to do it. I haven't found a single person to have me, like, I'm staying at the student housing, which for short term is expensive. It's 65 Swiss francs, so 65 euros, pretty much 65 US dollars, pretty much a month. Not a month, I mean a night. Um, so, um, and I don't know, I just can't really, I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel comfortable anywhere with anyone really, but like I certainly, there's nobody I feel like comfortable in Switzerland with, and I just don't really see the point. So I did I precisely so I had this idea of making money, so getting a job in Switzerland so that I can then pay like poor immigrants to get the signatures for the initiative. And so I don't know, I still haven't gotten a result of it. I could look to see if there's just been anything new. No, there hasn't been. So I'm sort of giving up on that because I don't think that, I mean, even basically, I don't think I'm going to be able to get the initiative. Even if I get a job, I won't be able to collect 100,000 signatures in 18 months. Um, so that's that. I don't think, I mean, it's not a good place. Uh, my main plan had been, and probably is again now, to find like some sort of girlfriend who's willing to go on Twitch and attract people through being female. Um, so I think I'm back to that plan, right? So the initiative, I mean, in any case, what I'm trying to do is gain more um, fame, essentially, right? I need to just get people to know me. And so the whole idea with the initiative was also just to get people to know me, but that would have been a very grueling way to achieve that. And if I could just get a girlfriend to just be on Twitch, that would be a much simpler and a much more pleasant way, and pretty much more something that actually corresponds to me more. I mean, people say that's exploitation. I don't see it as exploitation. I mean, I see it just as, just doing something that works. And um, I mean, I feel like the one that's sort of less, you know, how should I say? The whole reason is that males are not as much desired, and so it's almost as feels like I'm, being discriminated against. And it's sad. Like I'm still, an incel in like my whole life. This is why. It's because, you know, women are more desired, and so that's how they also gain success on Twitch. So in this case, it would actually just be exploiting that differential for a good purpose. So that's what I'm gonna be still aiming for. So yeah, and like I said, Switzerland is so it's terrible. Switzerland is terrible for finding a girlfriend. Like like they just people are just sort of closed, and they're just passive, and I don't know, I don't I don't find that they have attractive personalities. B, it's very hard to get to know them. It's very hard to get them interested in you. And it's like that everywhere, of course. Just like girls are just difficult everywhere, but in Switzerland in particular, I feel that it's hard, and in general, basically the more good looking ones tend to become like these chav type. They would call them racailles in French, and uh, hello, comfortable superstar. Are you somebody that I already know, or not? Hi. Well, anyway, hi. I'm not sure if I'm gonna bother right now interacting since this is sort of meant to be a short stream. Um, what do you want me to answer to this? I'd like to point out just that it's sort of ironic that then, you know, if you'll say that, like, sure, there has been some amount of looting. But how about, all the huge like instability and economic loss caused, for instance, by the protests by like those truckers in Canada, for instance, on the other political spectrum. Suddenly there's huge amounts of sympathy, right? So there again is the hypocrisy. How are we supposed to get along after everything that happened? Well, okay, how are we supposed to get along after all the billions of dollars of economic loss from economic blockade caused by truckers? Okay, like you tell me that. So, but anyway, getting back on topic. Um, you're comparing money to cities burning. What the fuck? Well, because it's not actually our cities burning. Okay, there are like some incidents of stuff, but like money is super important, right? Because like literally the reason money like burning is a problem is because you actually lose value, right? Money is just a token of value. So if something burns, you're losing value. Likewise, if there's money lost, it's also loss of value. Look, okay, again, truckers, that you're just one-sided. Look, I'm not interested in this. If you're just gonna be a narrow-minded, one-sided person and only look at one side of the issue and not recognize that there's like damage caused by both sides, yeah, so leave. So, um, anyway, like I said, so Switzerland is not really a good place for, like, yeah, so they turn into like chavs and stuff. And so, which means that they'll sort of be like very much into like smoking and being aggressive, and they will only go for like really evil looking males. Like they only want really like either like very either well, especially they'll want them to be like dark haired and with like big jaws and black beards. Or otherwise they can go for people like with more my coloring if they're like really big, if they're like really tall and really bulky and really mean looking. Um, and basically, so I mean, that's it's been a very big source of frustration for me. But in any case, you have to also have access to social circles. So even like you can look like that, that won't matter. You'll still be an incel if you don't also have a bunch of friends who also look like that. Um, and you have to be like relatively like decently ranking within your pack. It's a very sort of primitive animalistic environment, and so that is it's very frustrating. Like it really, I remember when I was working, like especially in Neuchâtel, there you'd get to really see it a lot, and more so than in Geneva even, and just it's somehow more visible. And yeah, just I would sort of obsess about this. So then after having left, I was sort of getting a bit more thinking that I was being kind of silly about all that, about obsessing about that. But now being back here, um, I'm really just being reminded like, oh yeah, like it really is shitty like that. Um, so yeah, no. So oh yeah, so just a couple days ago I suddenly had this idea. So okay, I'm gonna pretend, that I already have a sort of thing set up and that I'm part of, I sort of already like my real good thing is actually a sort of established company and I'm now hiring people. Well, I didn't actually say I didn't lie, right? But it was sort of more because obviously they wouldn't want to if they knew that I hadn't yet reached that kind of stage. So I was just telling them so I'm looking for like basically promoters models for my business to promote my business. So I went up to a few people and they seemed vaguely somewhat interested. They were polite. I mean a couple. I went up to uh, four young women in total over the course of a day, and two of them actually took the card, my business. So I left them my business card, and but they haven't responded, so I don't think they will. Um, so I mean, probably they would have gone on internet, looked to see if there's like some sort of Instagram thing or something, since that's sort of what they seem to really like. And so obviously there's nothing, and so then that's that. Um, and so well, in any case, I didn't really like that approach either because it would have been kind of weird and they would have probably discovered anyway. And like, yeah, they would have discovered that I wasn't yet sort of high ranking enough or something. And then of course they would have. So again, it's just so super annoying. Like I just hate these girls. But anyway, um, anyway, so that didn't work. I could try more, but honestly, it's really tiring. So, and I'm just sick of this, and I don't. again, I just don't want to be in Switzerland. I don't like Swiss people. I don't like. I'm just really sick of this. And oh yeah, did I mention that? Oh, maybe I haven't done a stream since then. Um, like I was staying at the ex-boyfriend of my mom from before she met my dad. Actually, she met my dad through him. And so basically I stayed at his place, but like immediately he started like there are just a few things like so I actually could stay at his place free, which is the only place in Geneva that I could or anywhere like in Switzerland that I could do this. And so I was staying in a room, he just gave it out for free. But like immediately he like was like he like made food, and so I had food, but then I we had like some leftovers, and so I finished the leftovers, and then he came back, and so there were no leftovers, and so he got really pissed off about that. Um, and so he accused, he then got sort of like upset about accusing me of not having a team spirit and stuff. And so then also he just, like, even for even more little stuff, then he started really being, but like really like not nice, like really sort of like being accusing, but like in a nasty sort of way, in a way of just like it's sort of hard to explain it, like accusing me because I hadn't like put like a specific item in the right garbage recycling can, or like I was doing the laundry and it was a bit late and there's like a button that was hitting and making noise, and so this was all indications that I was somehow, not I was being selfish and whatever, and so then I told him like Morbius, hi, what is that? Um, And so, like, I told him, look, you can't do this, okay? Like, if you got rules, sure, but just like first, don't accuse me the first time I break a rule that you haven't actually told me about, right? Instead, just tell me, okay, I would like you to do this differently. Please do this differently. And maybe you can start accusing me after like the fifth time or something that I do it wrong, okay? And so I said this, and that he just kept persisting. I told him this is not me just not wanting to do what you tell me to do. It's that I don't know exactly what you want me to do. And he just kept saying that I had to develop more team spirit. So then I told him, well, you're not understanding. You're just refusing to be rational. So just okay, just since your mind is only able to comprehend that if somebody doesn't do exactly the way things you want them to be done. And see, this is the other thing. Like then we're watching a movie, and I said like this looks weird because it looked like it was high frame rate, and I said this looks weird, and so he got says like, what do you want me to do about that? And he looked like really sort of like just weirdly offended. Whereas at the same time, he like loves like having little like issues to solve, and he's like really into like doing like little like working, bricolage we call it in French, like just working on stuff and fixing them. And so I said, like, look, you could see this as a challenge to like see if you can get it to have your TV to have a different frame rate. But no, somehow that was bad. Like, and he like literally would accuse me as if it was somehow bad. When he talked, he would talk a lot. And this is the thing. Like at first he was talking to me and talking because he's all these sort of things, his hobbies that he's really interested in, that he really talks about a lot. And then and so yeah, so anyway, then I told him like, look, you can't do this. You can't just suddenly accuse people of being bad people just because you don't do exactly like you expect. And meanwhile, of course, if you actually talk and see, this is the other absurd thing, is that he'd accuse me of not being interested in what he has to say, but whenever you do actually say something, then he's not interested at all. And you can see he's just sort of like just like he's just waiting for you to finish talking. Um, and whereas I would, I didn't maybe say stuff, but you don't know what to say. So I would sort of go like, uh-huh, and like, yeah, and that's nice, and that kind of thing. Whereas he doesn't do that. He just sort of waits and seems bored when you say a little something. So basically he likes to just do these monologues, and he also likes to tell you to just follow these rules, and if you don't follow exactly all the rules, and then you're a bad person. But if you tell him that he's doing something wrong, then that also he won't like that. So like, and that's the thing. Basically, you're a bad person if you don't do everything exactly the way he wants you to do it, even if he hasn't told you what he wants you. So I told him that that's not okay, and so then he just then suddenly he stopped talking for hours. He would just completely stop talking. And after a few days of that, I said, look, like, come on, you're obviously not happy with this, but like maybe give it a rest or maybe let me pay you. Okay, since you're obviously not happy with me being here, let me pay you. And so then he was like, no, and he almost got a bit like violent and also like yeah, like not really violent, but like you could see he was sort of like block like I was sort of going to go towards the kitchen to like put some money down and he like really physically blocked me. Then he sort of like, no, mais tu arrêtes, like and he was like and also like when I was yeah, because people, just Swiss people are just dipshits. Um, I just, yeah, they're so fucking gross. And anyway, and before, yeah, like with the cooking thing, where I hadn't like redone leftovers that I'd finished. Money laundry. Well, there is some money laundering, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just the general, regular, average Joes that are dipshits. I'm not talking even about the whole banking system, which is, of course, a disgrace as well. Um, I'm just talking about regular everyday kind of stuff. And here this is an example of this is my ex, basically my mom's ex boyfriend from before she met my dad even that I was staying at because they actually got back in touch sort of for some reason. And so yeah, what I was saying, yeah, so I'd forgotten to make the leftovers. So then he started to make some, but he was obviously pissed off. And so I started to go sort of towards where he was making food and sort of held out my hand to grab the thing and say, look, let me do it. Look, if you're not happy that I didn't remake the leftovers, well, let me do it at least if you're like tired or something, because he was coming back in the evening and like, and he said, and he sort of took it back and he sort of like grabbed away the pot from me. So like, again, did like this and said, "Mais non, touche pas." And he had this, he's so gross. Like, I'm like, ah, fucking dipshit. And so in the end, like there, when I was trying to, give the money to him after he was all sulking after a few days and stuff, and then he just like really said he was just like really even more of an asshole, and he just like underscored how yeah. So he uh, just I don't know. He kept just having this thing about how basically what I called insulting me, right? To me, it was an insult to my personality. And as much as he said that I was just not a team player, and he said that was obvious that I was not a team player, and I just kept telling him that how he kept obviously just twisting everything I was saying, and he refusing to listen, which was obviously what he was doing. And he said just basically that was selfish. And he said that it worked with other people he was with. It worked with his kids. It worked with the other person that he had hosted at his place, and not with me. And and again, so and in the end, just like yeah, just on purpose, like underlining all the stuff that he thought that would like I wouldn't like the fact that I wasn't having my own source of income and that was depending on my parents and stuff, which I actually don't care all that much about. But what pissed me off more was the way that he really meant that to be something, hurtful, and and the way that also I was saying like I'm sick of people telling me that like I'm selfish when like I'm literally doing like spending my time trying to like do things to help people. Like the whole reason I'm on Twitch is to try to get like policies implemented that would help everyone. Um, and so, but of course, like he doesn't really know about that. But um, like basically and so then he said oh well I'm glad like you're telling me that like that if other people like if everyone else also says that you're selfish well thank you and then he sort of said that with this evil smirk and he left and so then I just left his place and then in the evening I just left a message that he's just an asshole and I don't want to ever see him again and then of course I made the mistake of then because I realized okay he's an asshole but then everyone else I know in Geneva hey analysis please is an asshole too because they just didn't actually just let me stay at their places at all. And so then I thought, and in any case, well, I have to deal with assholes just in life, just, even if just for like business purposes or whatever. And so then I wrote a message to him saying, okay, well, I still think you're wrong in it and that whatever, but I wouldn't mind staying at your place just because I don't want to pay 65 francs a night here. And um, and so then he sort of saw that as me being sort of weak and going back on my stance. And again, I did sort of misword it a bit in a way that seemed a bit too sort of like suddenly too bit too groveling or something, and I realized that it was just a wrong choice of words. Um, but anyway, yeah, and so then he said no, like he just said yeah, just keep on. And I'm glad he said no because honestly, like he's a fucking asshole. So um, I actually basically broke up with him with more violence than my mom ever did. Hello, Ira. Wait, I've already tried to pronounce your username before. I know I can. Ira, Ira L. Silver in game. I'm going there tomorrow. Flight's tomorrow. Yeah, so, yep, pretty soon, I think. So Iron IRL Silver in game. Oh, okay. Yeah, I got it was more like that, but Silver is your rank in League of Legends. Okay, okay, yeah, all right. So yeah, that's that. And maybe hopefully Iceland will be a bit better than Switzerland. I remember back from when there was this forum about people who go traveling to like literally look for like girls to like have sex with. Like, I mean, not for pay, like not hookers, but just like to like find people like or like find girlfriends or wives or whatever. There, I remember there used to be this forum and now it's gone. And I remember they said that in Iceland, like it seemed decent, and pretty much everyone seemed to agree that I mean, Switzerland wasn't even mentioned much, but basically Switzerland was not considered like a good place. And they said that Iceland was like literally the only place in the world where sometimes they would act like the women might actually come up to you instead of you having to do the effort of going to them. And so, you think Switzerland is probably one of the hardest? Yeah, I think it's yeah, Switzerland is really hard. Switzerland's really hard. I mean, I've been in Switzerland. I'm Swiss. I've been in Switzerland most of my life, and of course, I'm, you know, in Cell. Yeah, but I think everywhere. I mean, for me, everywhere is hard in any case. But we'll see if that holds true. So now, of course, Iceland has experienced this big tourism boom, so that typically would have a tendency to make things harder. So we'll see. We'll see if we'll see what gives. I sort of cautiously, a little bit optimistic. Yeah, for you too. Where are you from, Analysis? Again, are you from the UK or? I'm sorry, I just sort of have a tendency to kind of forget where people are from if we haven't talked about it for a long time, or if we haven't had yeah some sort of memorable conversation that we remember. But yeah, basically, we'll see if. But basically, yeah, I can't. You're from the U.S. Okay. Oh, Arn, you're from the U.S. near Oregon. Okay, I don't think you've told me before where you're from. What do you mean by near Oregon? Like Oregon's a state, so, like why don't you just say your state? Analysis. Oh, you're from Germany. Okay. Oh yeah, but you've talked about you're the guy who actually are you the person who's from Germany and who actually was in Switzerland, like in Zurich, and then actually like had a hooker, like paid for one like once, and like did like a girlfriend experience thing with a sex worker in Switzerland? Is that you? Oh, that's not you. Okay. There's somebody I talked to that did that. Okay. And precisely who said they went to Switzerland and thought Switzerland was harder than Germany, and who then did that. Um, okay. Um, Going back to Oregon, my dad is sort of from, well, not really from Oregon, but like he grew up for like several years. He spent some years as a kid in Oregon, in Eugene. You think that someone else had never went to hooker? Okay. I mean, yeah, I could have done that in Switzerland. I mean, that would have been my only option, but I don't want to because, like, literally, what I want is like somebody who wants to be with me, and like to me, like that's kind of a big part of the whole thing. Like, it's an essential part of the whole thing, and to me, like, I it doesn't interest me if I have to pay for it. So I never went to that. I never, no, and I won't because it does, like, it's just not what I want. Um, So yeah, so we'll see. It'll be interesting to see if Iceland. You say you're near Oregon but live in California. Oh, okay, okay. We're like in Northern California. Okay. All right. Yeah, so I've already been to like the other countries of like that area of, I've been to France, I've been to Germany, I've been to UK, and like closer culturally to Iceland. So I've been to Denmark, Sweden, and Norway. Um, it's true. One thing I would say is that in like in Sweden, where I actually tried, it seems that girls are easier to approach in nightclubs specifically. That's about the only main observation I can make. And also, having done an internship in Scotland, I can definitely say that if you sort of have a socially sort of appropriate in like that, in certain circumstances, like if you're lucky, that can make it easier. But then in Switzerland too, like once I was in an internship sort of somewhere else in Switzerland, and there it was also easier than or than I never actually got anywhere because it's still you still required a bit of proactivity, but at least they show interest in you. So that's like the only two experiences I've had where like there were multiple sort of girls in the same environment who showed interest in me is my internship both in a small town in Switzerland and in a small town in Scotland. But again, it's probably a lot has a lot to do with the specific sort of environment that you're in. Um, and yeah, yeah. So I heard about Scandinavia. Yeah. But otherwise, like, approaching people just that you don't know during the day, it's hard everywhere. It's just, hello, Proto Zero. Hi. Um, so that's that. I'm actually pretty much done. So I've never been to Iceland, so we'll see that. That'll be interesting. So I'm gonna actually wrap this up because I actually have an appointment just right now, just right here. I'm eating with some family friends who again have not actually, well, of course they have a cat, so I couldn't stay at their place anyway since I'm allergic to cats. So I'm just gonna have a pizza with them. This is my last night here in Switzerland. Am I visiting the Blue Lagoon? Hey, Christiel Egglefon. So you know about Iceland a bit, then I take it. I don't know. I haven't planned anything yet. For now, I'm just more like planning on. Well, my hope is to find a girlfriend, which I've still never had in my life, really. So that's the main purpose, which means I'll be mostly just focusing on Reykjavik. But I mean, sure, like I also wouldn't mind going touring around, and then, of course, Blue Lagoon is pretty close to Reykjavik, so I may well go to Blue Lagoon at some point. I don't know. I don't know. Why didn't I visit Dr. Jumama? Because I was only in New York, and he's in Denver. So, um, I mean, it's not. I mean, New York and Denver is not that close. So I didn't. I didn't. Well, of course, I do have sort of friends and family friends in Boulder, so I could have gone to Boulder, and of course, then family in Montrose, Colorado, in the West. But yeah, again, my whole thing I'm doing right now is first just looking for a girlfriend, ideally, who would be willing to then join me on Twitch. So then finally, this Twitch thing could take off, hopefully by luring people in with her absence of Y chromosome. How do I have all this money to travel? As my parents, they've got money from having worked their whole life. So yeah. As my dad from Oregon, well, he was born in Rochester, New York, moved to Eugene, Oregon when he was 5, then moved to Japan when he was 10, moved to Switzerland when he was 11, moved to Santa Cruz, California when he was 14, moved to New Zealand when he was 18, and then moved back to Europe a few years later. And met my mom in Switzerland in his early 20s. And he met my mom by visiting his old friend that he'd known from when he was in Switzerland when he was 10, when he was 11 or something. And that's the person I was staying at, and that actually is an asshole, and that I left him. So that sort of wraps up the whole story there. Yeah, that's insane travel. His parents were biologists, and they sort of had various, um, positions in universities. First, like finishing like PhDs and then postdoc and that kind of stuff. So that was what that was about. And then he traveled to various places as a cellist in, classical cellist in orchestras in various places in Europe. So he was especially in the orchestras of Nice, briefly in Granada, but mostly Nice and Catania in Italy. So Nice in France and Catania in Italy, and briefly Granada in Spain. Um, so that is that. the story. So right now, so sorry, I'm going to actually be cutting this off because it's here. It's 7:30 and it's time to meet up to eat with the family friends that I mentioned. So thanks for stopping by, and hopefully see you soon. And bye bye for now.